So good morning everyone. So it's 8 o'clock, 1 minute past. So welcome. Good morning in Brussels, but maybe good afternoon depending of the time zone. So I'm Ingrid Morvan from Regulation and Standard Department in COLID. So today we are at the second webinar in a series of three on traces. So the two-day webinar, the program is, so I will say some welcoming words on behalf of COLID. We will have short reminder of key messages of last week webinar, and the core of the presentation will be to explain the modules focusing on animal and animal products. And then we will have the Q&A session. So let's start. So maybe, yeah, for those who were not there last week, a short reminder of who is COLID. So COLID stands for Committee Linking Entrepreneurship, Agriculture and Development. It's a non-profit private association. Its motto is Growing People. Its means of action are development programs for the agriculture and food sectors, among which Agrinfo, financed by the EU. So Agrinfo aims to help partners understand new and upcoming EU regulations. Through our website, we provide simple explanation of all changes to EU rules that could have an impact on export of agri-food products to the EU. Talking to partners, it has become clear that one of the areas where there is a need for help and support is in accessing and using the EU electronic certification system. So we are therefore very pleased to organize this series together with experts from the Traces Help Desk team. We sincerely thank them for their collaboration and availability in preparing and delivering these presentations. So this series is composed of three webinars. So last week we have seen how to register to Traces and all the logging issues. Today is focusing on animal and animal products modules, including, for example, honey, where we have noticed that there are difficulties for listing establishments. It's a new requirement of last year. And next week, we'll be focusing on plant and plant products. So this webinar today is in English. If you would prefer this webinar in French, Spanish, or Portuguese, there are other sessions organized later this week. So you just go on the website agrinfo.eu, you have this yellow banner. You click on it and you will find the link to register to the other sessions. So the primary objective of these sessions is to provide guidance on the fundamental functionalities of traces. For the two-day session, it is important to highlight that both competent authorities and operators need to work together to manage to export to the EU. It is important that both have a good understanding of traces. There are modules that must be filled in traces platform, while others remain voluntary. More in-depth support can be arranged at the country level upon request. So engagement in digitalization is important to remain competitive, facilitate trade, and protect health. So some rules to ensure the smooth running of this session. So your microphone is muted and we are not able to give the floor. So please introduce yourself in the chat and ask your questions, in particular when these are technical questions, in the Q&A box so that we can answer them during the Q&A session. The presentation and the recording will be sent after the webinar shortly in the days to come to all participants. Your feedback in the chat is welcome to help improve further sessions. So today's session will be delivered by experts from the Traces Help Desk who will guide you step by step through the platform. So without further delay, I hand over to the team. And thank you again for being with us today. We hope you find this session very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. A very good morning to you all, or good afternoon, depending where you are located. It is a pleasure for us to be here. I am with my colleagues from the Traces support team, and we are going to present a little bit further the functions of Traces today. Maybe you were with us last week, so you heard already about this system. You know a little bit the benefits of using this system. And today we really want to go into the details of the use of traces for non-EU countries. I will be sharing the floor with the colleagues. We are going to present three important parts of the system. And I will be your moderator. My name is Vincent, and I will pass the floor to my colleagues when it comes to the next section. On voit pas l'écran. On va essayer. Sorry for this. We want to show you the screen in the display. Okay, that's okay now. Thank you, Laurent. So today we are going to focus on the certification of animals and animal products. So we will talk about the modules which are designed for the certification of products coming from non-EU countries to the EU. And you will see how you can go into traces and use this system. So uh, just before starting really explaining these functions, we just want to give a very brief reminder of the benefits of traces, and then we will go in the different modules that you can see here in the outline of this webinar. The benefits of traces for non-EU countries, you have basically three of them that we wanted to highlight, and maybe some of you remember this slide from last week. The first one that you will hear about today is about the establishment authorization. As you know, our regulation stipulates that we need to have authorized establishments to export to the EU. So that's one of the conditions for you to export to the EU, in particular, certain products are coming from animal origin. So Traces is really helping you to facilitate this process. So you will see step by step how you can either make a change in the list of establishments from your country, or maybe you need to suspend one of the establishments because you discovered there is a problem with them, and you want to give them some time to fix this problem before exporting again to the EU. So we will go through this module, which is the LMS module, Listing Management System, to show you exactly how to do this. The second one, which is very important for you as well, is how to create a certificate. The European Union is quite famous for updating its regulation quite often. We want to stay really up to date on the risk, which is for our consumers or our animals, our plants. So we quite often adapt our regulation in order for us to have the highest safety standards. So it also means sometimes that the certificates change. Model of the certificates are updated, and the best way for you to be sure that the certificates are the correct one is to use traces to create the certificate. So we will show you how to get into this module and how to make a certificate in the system using the correct models. And the third one will be to, again, insist on the way to get an access to the records of the outcome of the official controls. As you know, when your products leave your country and arrive in our borders, we have official controls, and you are entitled to see the result of these official controls. So we will show you how to get into this part of the system and how to see the various controls that we do at the borders, and how to get notified about this official controls. If there is a problem there, you will also be informed real time that one of the samples was taken on your consignment, and perhaps something went wrong with this consignment. The other advantages of traces, there are a few. We are working on a system which is fully developed and maintained by the European Commission. This is free of charge. So you will see that all the functions we show you today is accessible. It is a system with a very high authorization level. We have security to make sure that the data that we have there are remaining confidential and are accessed in a secured way. That was basically the subject of the webinar one of last week. And we are not going to insist too much on this today, but we want to remind you that once you get an access to traces, you need to go through these steps to make sure that it is a secured and confidential access. It is a platform where you have both public and private sector working together. So you will see today in particular on the creation of an official certificate to export to the EU. The operators from the private sector and the authorities in your countries are working on the same platform, using the same document, and having different steps all along the way to make sure that we get an official certificate with the consignment to go to the EU. Traces is basically a very huge database. So all the information that we have in Traces are actually retrievable. And there is this tool which is called ClickSense, which is a tool to browse the statistical information and to make reports, to extract from reports about the data that we have in Traces. So we will show you also how to use ClickSense at the end of this webinar. Traces is equipped with the 24 EU languages. We have 24 official languages in the European Union, plus some other languages as well. If there is a request and the European Commission accepts to have more languages, it is very possible for us to add languages in Traces. So there are a few countries which are in discussion right now. Perhaps there will be more languages in Traces. Traces is connected to other systems. There is an interoperability with other systems. Here are a few which are mentioned. The custom system, the single window in particular, it's possible to be linked with Traces somehow. The IRAS, the rapid alert system for food and feed, and the IPPC, which is the solutions to exchange phytosanitary certificate. We are not going to cover phytosanitary certificate this week. That's the subject for next week. Obviously, Traces is the system which is working online, so there is no need of installing any software or anything in your computer. You can access the system 24/7 every day of the year online directly. Again, we want to insist a little bit on the way to get access to Traces. So we saw that last week there is basically two steps. I like to say there are like two locks on the door. The first lock is the EU login. So you need to have a key to open the first lock with this EU login. And this EU login is actually a key that will help you also to open other systems in the European institution IT systems. So the EU login is always the first step. And then you have an access depending on the role and what you are going to do on the certification system. Basically, this is a pyramidal principle. So the European Commission gives us access to a central competent authority in the country. And then the authority is organized with two or three levels, depending on how you are organized nationally. And these authority are managing operators. If you want to know more about how we organize this access and the confidentiality of this information, I suggest you have a look at the terms and condition of use, which is at the bottom of every page of Traces. If you get in the Traces homepage, you will get this link and you can have a look at the terms and the conditions. So this is the menu for today. We are going to start with one very important module, which is the listing of the establishment. Like I mentioned, this is one of the conditions for you to export, to be able to export animals and animal products to the EU. And this is a module which is going to be presented by my colleague Naima. So I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague Naima, and I see you at the end of this module for the introduction of the next one.
Thank you, Vincent. Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. So I'm going to present today the LMS part of this presentation. So what is LMS? In traces, LMS stands for Listing Management System, and it refers to the procedure of approving establishment for certain goods in order to export into the EU. We, as the help desk, will always refer it to an activity, so we'll call it LMS activity or approved establishment. Please note that the registration of these establishments is a requirement and is a entry condition for EU market. We can imagine after on-site inspection carried out by the competent authority, they are then responsible for listing their approved establishment through traces. This information is publicly available through our Traces platform. If you have a Traces access, then you can go to Publication and then Establishment Listing, where you'll find a menu. You'll find the menu Establishment Lists, and you can filter your search by country, chapter, section, or establishment name if you have this information available. Or this information is also available through the European Commission website, and you can find the links below. So in Traces, the management of approved establishment is done exclusively by the national contact points. As an operator, you cannot create or modify LMS activities yourself. This is the responsibility of authorities. So if you would like to create one, you should contact your competent authorities. And when you have an access in Traces as NCP through your assigned role, you can access establishment amendment list where we're going to see right now how to create and submit establishments. So as we just saw, you're going to find a menu, search establishment amendment lists, and this presentation will cover a step-by-step procedure on how to create, submit, and manage an establishment amendment list. So I hope you're well seated and comfortable because we're going to start this process. So first, you're in this menu, you will find a green button, New Establishment Amendment List, that will open a new list for you, and you will see it in status unsaved. So here it is. At this stage, there is no reference number. The status is unsaved. The country is automatically filled in depending on your location. And you will be able to enter the chapter. Here we're going to choose animal byproducts, for example. Once you've selected your chapter, you will have to sign on behalf of the responsible competent authority that is creating this list. So if you have multiple roles assigned to your user account, you will have to choose the responsible competent authority for creating this list. Then we're going to click on Add Section. When you click on Add Section, you will have the possibility to choose the section for which you want to create your list. You will have all the sections under the chapter that you've selected just previously. And we're going to, for example, here choose processing plants. So once you chose processing plants, you will have this display. You will first have to click on Add Establishment. So this allows you to enter the operator or establishments for which you want to create the list. You have two options here. Either your operator already exists in Traces and you want to add a LMS activity to it, then you're able to search it through the button Advanced Search. Or if your operator does not exist, you are able to create it on the go with the button just below on number 3, create a new operator. So we're going to explain how to create a new operator. Once you clicked on that green button, this page will open. You will see that we're going to create a new operator. There are some mandatory fields where you can see red asterisks near it. That means that you have to fill in these boxes. So you have the name, the country is automatically filled in, and you have to indicate the address. Once you have all the information, you click on Save. So we clicked on Save. We will have a confirmation message that you see here in green that will pop up. It will say that the operator has been successfully created. Please note that you have to select the operator with the green button below, Select, in order to mention it in your list. So once we have our operator in the list, then we have to amend it and add a modification. Here, because it is a new operator, we have to add an activity to it. So you have the button Add Modification and then Add Activity. There are some mandatory fields that you have to fill in, such as approval number and date of approval. And then once these information are filled in, you press on Save as New. So at this stage, you will see that a reference number has been created. This is a unique number to each list that you submit. You will see that it is in status New. You can, at this stage, add supporting documents as well, here by uploading through this button, Add Supporting Document. And once you have all the information that you want, you can submit your list to the commission, and you will have to approve with this select button that the operator you're mentioning is in compliance with regulation applicable to the product listed, confirming that the necessary inspection have been carried out before including the operator in the list. Oh, just I'm going to go back to the slide. I forgot to mention something. Right. So you have here other options that you can see. You have delete and save as new. At this step, you can delete your list if you want, or save as new if some information or modification to the list is needed. And you can come back to it. It will be saved in Traces, and then when you are you are satisfied, you can submit your list. So here, once you have submitted, this is a reminder to know that this process is a dynamic process, and you can follow the different statuses of your list. Once you've submitted your list, it goes under examination, for example, just here. But you also have cancelled, deleted, under EUU examination, status new, published, under examination, and under revision. If you want to see the details of your list, you can click on the reference number and it will open just here. It will open the information of your list. There is also a historic of the workflow where you can see the time that you've submitted it or a message that you can leave as well. From the commission side, once you have submitted your list, they are able to view it and review it. They will examine it and they have the option either to return your list or submit it. If they return their list, then they can add a comment as here in your right, for example, to specify the postcode that is missing, and your list will be returned for you to complete. Or if they are satisfied and everything is all right with your list, they are able to proceed and submit for publication. So once your list has been published, the national contact point will receive a automatic notification from Traces saying that their list and list reference number has been published. Here we're going to see how we can check the different statuses of an establishment list. So establishment amendment list, you have two options. Either you go back to the menu, search establishment amendment list. You have the name of the operator. Through the search bar, you're able to mention the name and search it. Once you search it, you will see the reference number of your list and the status that is next to it. If you open this reference number, you will see that it has been published. And if you go below, you will see that this operator and all the operators mentioned in this list are now approved, and they can be selected in an official certificate or a shed. The second option to check the status of your establishment amendment list is through the establishment listing. You are able to filter your search by chapter, section, or establishment name. You will see that there is a list of approved establishment by country, chapter, and section. And in number 3, you are able to export a PDF where you'll be able to view the list, or you're also able to view the list through our Traces platform. If we export the PDF, you will see the list of all approved establishments of the country for the section and chapter you want. And you're able to find the information relative to the establishment, so approval number, the name, and the address. This means that this establishment can now be selected in an official certificate or shed. The last thing we're going to see, how to suspend an activity if for some reason it is not anymore in compliance with the EU standards or has any other kind of problem, you're able, through the establishment amendment list, to search the operator. You will see that After searching it, you will see that this operator through this list and reference number is in status published. Then through a new establishment amendment list, so you will have to create a new establishment amendment list, you are able to mention your operator you want to suspend by doing the same step as we just saw previously. So we mentioned the chapter, you have to sign on behalf of the responsible competent authority, add a section to it, and mention the operator. So here, for example, we want to suspend this operator from the activity of fishery products. Here, through the amendment details, when you're going to add a modification, you are able to remove the activity through this selection here. And then you save as new and submit your list. Please note that once you have submitted your list and it has been published, this establishment cannot be anymore selected in an official certificate or a shed. For the activity you mentioned, of course, in the list.
Thank you, Naima, for this explanation. I've just put two questions here that you may see on the screen. These are two interesting questions about the LMS. So you understand now, I guess, that every change you need to make in the list of establishments of your country, you need to go to this amendment system. So you need to actually amend the list. Even if you need to delete an establishment from a list, you need to amend a list by creating a new list. So this partly, I think, answered the question number one: how can we modify the operation details, such as the name, and when needed, perhaps you need to also submit the legally trade license. Well, this is you have to see it as a dialogue between the Commission and your competent authority. So basically, the information you put in traces, you can attach file, you can put information. If the Commission needs more information, they will have this dialog box that Naima showed briefly, where they will ask questions. Maybe they want to see more documents to justify that you are going to amend this list. And then the decision will be shown real time in traces. That's a very flexible and transparent system. So whatever information is needed, the Commission is going to ask for this information when needed. And the question number two, when registering a new establishment, should the registration number be encoded in the national system? The answer is yes. You have for sure a national system which grants authorization, registration numbers, perhaps after audits, when you go and visit the audits producing animals and animal products. So this number or this kind of identification, unique identifier, sorry, should be mentioned in the list, because this is how you organized your system, and you are the competent authority, and you are managing the establishments in your country. So any system you have in your country should be used as a way of identifying an establishment at the national level. I hope that answers some of your questions about LMS. We can have more questions about LMS at the end during the Q&A. But for now, I want to pass the mic to my colleague Youssef, who is going to present another very important module function of traces, which is how to create an official certificate when exporting to the EU. Youssef, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Vincent. Hello, everybody. So in this next section, I will show you how to create an official certificate to the EU in case of EU import. So the procedure is basically comprised of 3 steps: the creation of the certificate, submission, and the validation or electronic signature. And we will go through these steps one by one. So the official certificates in traces can be created either by the economic operator in the non-EU country, but the authorities in this non-EU country can also create it as well. In the traces interface, you will access this module through the menu under Documents, and under the tag DigiSanté, you will find the EU import access. When you click on it, you will be brought to the EU import search view. In this view, you will be able to search for existing EU import certificates. In Traces, which is a rule-based system, you can only see the certificates you are allowed to. As economic operators, you will only see the EU import certificates in which you are mentioned. And as an authority, if you are a central authority in your country, you will be able to see all the EU import certificates registered in the system originating from your country. In this view, you will also then be able to create a new EU import certificate via the green button in the upper right corner. And when you click on it, then the certificate will be displayed. For the economic operators, only part 1 of the certificate will be accessible. The part 1 of the certificate contains the details of the dispatch consignment, and part 2 is only accessible to the authorities, contains the certification, so the legal aspect of the certificate. So again, I insist, economic operator as well as authorities can complete part 1 of the certificate. This part is essentially a form in which you have to enter all the details about the consignment. The fields will be signaled either by a red star or an edit icon. When a field is signaled by a red star, it is a mandatory field in the certificate, so you have to fill it in with information. The other one is only optional. The certificate will always contain the competent authority over this certificate. So once the certificate is filled in, the last part is the description of the commodities. When you think that the certificate is correctly filled in, the next step is to submit it. And the traces is built so that if you have forgotten any information, any mandatory information in the certificate, you will be notified by an error message guiding you to the exact field where information is lacking so that you can amend it before submission. So you can only submit a correctly filled EU import certificate. So once you click on the submit for certification, the certificate will have the status new. So a new certificate is a certificate that exists in the system with a unique ID. And in this status, the certificate will show as pending for validation by the authorities. So as an authority in Traces, you will have access to a dashboard where all the resources that you have competence upon will show, either certificates, shed, and so on. and you can organize your work and see all the pending certificates for you to sign in overview. The part one of the certificate will always bear the identity of the actor in the system that submitted it. Either it is an operator or an authority. In the third step, the authority will be able to overview part two, which is the legislation part of the certificate. And the authority will be proposed a menu in the bottom part of the traces interface, where it can do three things: sign as in progress, sign validation, or sign rejection. Sign as in progress is a useful feature of traces which will allow the authority to block any further edition of the of part one of the certificate. So as long as the certificate is not in the status signed as in progress, the economic operator can still edit or amend part one of the certificate. But once the authority signs the certificate as in progress, this possibility is blocked, and only the authority can modify part one of the certificate. So I remind you again that authorities can also completely fill in part one of the certificates on behalf of the operator. But at this stage, the authority, if the certificate has been submitted by an economic operator, the authority has the possibility to edit information in part one before signing the certificate. So if the certificate is all good, the authority will sign it for validation, and this will notify the economic operator about the validation. If the certificate is rejected, the operator will be notified as well, and the operator will be able to amend part one of the certificate and submit it again. Once the certificate has been signed by the authority, part two will bear the identity of the authority. In traces, authorities can have multiple users, multiple colleagues of an institution enrolled within. So the certificates will bear the identity, the name of the user that signs the certificate. As an authority, you can ask for an e-seal. So the EU can grant you the possibility to electronically sign a certificate. All you have to do is ask for this e-seal for your workflow. Once you have this possibility, you can electronically sign the certificate instead of simply signing it for validation. What this allows is that if you sign it in this fashion, paper is absolutely optional. It is not needed anymore at the border when the consignment reaches the EU. Opposite to the other situation when you simply sign for validation, in which you need to print the EU import certificate, which Traces allows, and stamp it, and the paper certificate should accompany the consignment. So with electronic signature, this is not needed anymore. When a certificate is electronically signed, you will find this lock symbol next to the EU import certificate ID in Traces. And when you click on it, you can have detailed information about the seal, about the certificate. An electronically signed certificate can still be printed, but as I mentioned, this is not necessary. Also note that an electronically signed certificate will be frozen in the way it is displayed. All the information will be frozen at the moment of the electronic signature. Now, when a certificate is signed for validation or electronically signed, there is no possibility to edit it anymore. So Traces is built so. This allows for robustness in the information that Traces contains. But say if after signing a certificate, an information needs to be modified, Traces allows the authority to replace a certificate. And this is in the scope of the following regulation that you will be able to access through the resource, yes. So this is, there's still this possibility to replace a certificate if an error is spotted even after the validation of the certificate. But this will create a new certificate identifier, a new instance of the certificate, and cancel the original one. So now I will give the floor to Laurent to go on with sheds.
Thank you very much, Youssef. We have quite a lot of questions in the Q&A. Thank you so much for the interest. We are going to address these questions at the end. Just a reminder, the Q&A is really to ask technical questions. So please, if you have comments about other things, or if you want to ask the organizers about how to get the slides from last week, please do it in the chat box so we can concentrate really on the technical questions. And once again, we will send you the slides and the recordings later. So do not worry, do not take notes, just wait for the organizers to send you this. Laurent, when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laurent, and I will talk to you about the Common Health Entry documents, or commonly just SHED. And I'm going to talk to you about all the different types of sheds that exists and what you are going to be able to see depending on your role. So first of all, we have 4 types of sheds. The first type is the shed A, which is used for consignment of live animals. Then we have the shed P, for consignment of products of animal origin, germinal products, animal byproducts, and derived products, which is going to be our main focus today. So shed A and shed P. And furthermore, we have the shed PP, which is used for the consignment of plants and plant products. And finally, the shed D for consignment of food and feed of non-animal origin and food that a material that was in contact with food. Yes. So first of all, the sheds are divided into 3 parts, which are the part 1, which is the description of the consignment, as it's similar to the official certificate that Youssef was talking about. So it's the description of the consignment with all the information related to these. The part 1 can either be filled out by the operator responsible for the consignment, which is called RFL, responsible of for the load, which is a EU-based operator, or it can also be filled out by the border control post, which is the BCP. The part two displays all the controls. So it's basically the border control post who is able to fill out information in this part and also validate this part, where they will show all the controls that were done for the consignment. So you have the documented check, the physical check, and the identity check, which are done by the border control posts in order to validate the consignment for entry to the EU. And last but not least is the part 3, which is the follow-up. The part 3 is not always filled out because it's not always needed. It's a part where, for example, if a consignment reaches through different EU countries, there are information that can be added to the consignment. So in Traces, you can access the sheds via the tab Documents, and then you need to navigate to the shed and NOA display, which will open up the search grid for the sheds or the NOAs. Once you are on this screen, you can click on Advanced Search. And when you click on an advanced search, you have several options to find the document that you want to see. Here, today, we are going to focus on the shed P and shed A that you can select in the search. And you can also select the status of the documents that you want to search for. So in this display, we searched for a rejected document to be able to see why it was rejected, for example. So the sheds are accessible and able to be viewed by the competent authorities of the non-EU country that the consignment is coming from. But is also accessible by, from the operators that are mentioned in this document, so they are able to see the shed. So here is the part 1, which is accessible also by the operators and authorities. And here what we can see is that the shed was rejected. Furthermore, we can see a little icon that says cloned from import certificate. So this is an option that the border control post has. When the import certificate arrives, they can clone the import certificate to a shed P document. So that basically gives the option to copy all the information that is reported in the import to the shed P, so they don't need to manually select all the information. This saves a lot of time and is also very practical for the border control posts. Here we have a view of the part 2 of the shed, a shed P, and the part 2 is where the controls are filled out. And for example, here we see that there has been a documentary check, identity check, and a physical check, which has been reported as not satisfactory. So this part is only accessible by the competent authorities. This is not accessible by the operator. They will not be able to see that part. And as a competent authority of a non-EU country, you also have the access to the refusal, the reasons of the refusal. So if a shed is refused, you are able in the part 2 to see why it was refused. And here for this example, we see that the wrong certificate module was selected and that the consignment will be redispatched. The view of the follow-up is the following. So here we can see all the information that was filled out in the part 3 of the final BCP. And we can see that the consignment has arrived and that the consignment was also compliant. This is also a view that is only accessible by the competent authorities of the non-EU countries. So to be notified when, for example, a shed is rejected, this is something that you can enable in your traces profile and in the notifications. So to navigate to this, you need to click on Edit Your Profile, which is on the right side of the traces view, under your email address and the language that traces is displayed in. And when you click on Edit Your Profile, you will have a page that opens, which says Notifications. And in the notifications, you can see you can see shed documents in the list, and you can click on either be notified via email or inside of Traces, so in app. So if you want to have these notifications, you can enable them via this view. And also, if you don't want to have these notifications anymore, you can also click on it so it doesn't show up anymore. So, and this is for my part, and I will leave the floor to my colleague for the ClickSense.
Thank you very much, Laurent. So now you saw the part on the common health entry document. This document is actually very important for us at the border. This is a document which is making the entry in the European Union possible. If we don't have this document, your goods will not be able to enter or to circulate in the common market, in the single market of the European Union. The last part of this webinar this morning is about ClickSense. So this is how to extract data from traces, and Youssef is going to present this to you.
Thank you, Vincent. So I'm back to talk to you about ClickSense. So ClickSense is a business intelligence tool that is available in Traces exclusively to the authorities of the country that uses Traces. And it allows you to extract data from traces and for further analysis, statistical analysis, and so on. So in traces, authorities will find in the menu bar the label analytics, and under it you can you click on ClickSense, and this will bring you to the business intelligence module. The first step here is to choose a stream from which to work. So as a non-EU country, the two streams that are interesting for you are EU import and product import, in which you will find the EU import rolling TNT data warehouse stream and ShedPay rolling TNT data warehouse stream. Once you have chosen one of those two streams, you will be asked to choose a language in which to work, and then the type of view that you want to work in. We suggest that you choose quick information display, which is the usual way to extract data in traces in ClickSense. So this view will be organized as you see here. You will find multiple filtering options, multiple viewing and table constructing options here. So one first step in the filtration of the data that you have access to is filtering by decision date, for example, to narrow down the number of information that are analyzed. So as an authority here, you will only have access to data you are allowed to access. So as a central authority, you will have access to national data. But this can be a lot of information, and it is necessary, sometimes useful to narrow down the quantity of information to be displayed. So you can narrow down with decision dates. As a second step, you can, inside the selection board, further narrow down by the status of the certificate, for example, and there are other options. While you narrow down the information, you will see in the upper left corner the number of certificates that will decrease dynamically. Once you have those filtering criteria, you can start building your table by selecting available fields. So basically in the available fields, you will find all the fields that you find inside the part one of the certificates, and part one and part two of the documents. You will also need to select a metric. So either you want to show the number of consignments, the number of the quantity of a product, the net weight of a product is also available in metrics. So this is all at your convenience. And when you have selected one dimension and one metric, the table will display. So the table will be displayed. You can further filter in the table when you head to the header of each column. You have a search and filtering option for each one of the column. And when you are satisfied with your table, the information displayed in your table, you have the possibility to extract the data in the Excel format. To do this, you need to right-click on the table. This will show three icons. Click on the three dots. This will open a small menu where you will have the possibility to click on Download As. At this step, you will be able to choose to export the data. So if you choose to download the data as an Excel file, ClickSense will propose to you a download link. And at this stage, you only need to click on the link to download the data as an Excel file. When you open the file on your desktop, it displays as an Excel sheet. Oh, there is, you can access the documentation about ClickSense inside the Traces menu, and inside the ClickSense module, it is under the Everyone stream. So you can go ahead and find guidance right there. One cool feature of ClickSense is that when you have constructed a view, a table, choosing all the filtering criteria, choosing all the necessary available fields and metrics, then you can bookmark this view and come to it later and produce regular reports, statistical reports. So you don't have to go through the process of creating the table from scratch. So this bookmarks features is very useful. You can also share it with share the bookmarks with colleagues in ClickSense. And this yes, this was it for ClickSense. I will give back the floor to Naima, which who will talk to you about the common errors.
Thank you, Youssef, for your presentation. We're going to finish this presentation with some common errors. So we did not mention this before, but if something goes wrong through the process of either submitting your list or creating a shed, the Traces platform generates an error message if something is missing or something is wrong. It will display an automatic message in red on top of the page, and most of the time you will see the subject describing the problem. So here are some common errors we're going to review together, and we'll see how to solve them. So one of the most common errors we have, and we also get in the Traces help desk, is the error page Excel. So this happens when you have too many tabs that are open and too many requests that are submitted at the same time. In order to solve this problem, the easier way is to log out to clear your cake and cookies and then log back in. Then we have also a common error, error 500, that occurs in certain technical reasons. There is a problem with maybe the connection or something, or the browser. To solve this issue, we recommend that you reload the website, clear your browser cake, and try again. The error message, error upper 23, is linked to a user that doesn't have access as an authority, so is an operator that is trying to create a approved establishment. As we just saw, operators are not cannot create or manage approved establishment. So in this case, we kindly suggest the operator to contact their competent authority for further assistance. And the last error message we get a lot is the error upper 17. This occurs when the authority is trying to modify or add a LMS activity through the wrong section, through the section actors operators. So as an authority, you know that you can manage your operators through actors operators, but for LMS activities, it is exclusively through, as we just saw, the section publication establishment amendment lists. So here we have some common errors, and it finishes this presentation.
Thank you, Naima. And we have here a very important page, I think, for you, which is the useful links. So you have some information about traces, first on the website of the European Commission, especially DG Santé. Then you can access Traces. The homepage of Traces is the second link here when it says home. So you can have a look. If you followed the webinar last week, you will know that this is the page you need to go to start an access to Traces, how to get connected. This is where you start. Then the third one is the very important one for us. This is all the documentation. So obviously today we did a presentation step by step of different functions and modules in Traces. This is going to be summarized in the documentation. So you can click on here to get per module if you want to create a certificate or if you want to see how to access a shed. This is all summarized in this documentation. Fourth one is if you still have trouble to get access to Traces. Maybe it's because of your EU login, so you need to get into documentation, specific documentation for the EU login, which is the fourth link here, user portal. And then the fifth one is an e-learning. There is an e-learning that the European Commission developed for Traces specifically. So you will see a little bit introduction of the regulation. What are the European requirements behind Traces? Traces is based on our regulation. So you will know a little bit the introduction on the regulation around Traces and how to use Traces. So you will have also a reminder about some functions. And if you still have questions or issues, please do not hesitate to contact us. This is the email of the team here, santé dash traces at eceuropa.eu. We saw there were quite a lot of questions, so we're going to go through some of them, especially the ones that are really linked to the use of Traces. There are a few questions about the LMS. So here we just want to specify or to clarify that the Traces allows to make a list of establishments. So authorized establishments, they are listed by the competent authority in the non-EU countries, like in the EU countries, by the way. And I think here the question is about the approval number. Approval number, you have to go to your national competent authority and they will be able to see if you comply with the European regulations, and perhaps they will give you an approval number. In some countries, it's called registration numbers, but this is to see with your national competent authority. If you get this number, then your competent authority will be able to use Traces to list this establishment as an authorized establishment to export to the EU. So there are two steps here. Please do not confuse these two steps in the approval. The next question was about the submission of establishment. So it is, you see, Naima explained that you can see real time. It's very transparent. The system here, you can see exactly which step we are in the process for listing of establishments. There is this status which is under examination. This is when you propose a new amendment list. In this case, it can take a few hours, it can take a few days. It really depends on the workload at the Commission. It really depends also on the type of product you want to export. So Traces is very quick. You will see that this is updated real time, but then it takes some time for the colleagues at the European Commission to look at this request and then address it, whether with a yes or with a no. The LMS animal byproducts and full listing. Here there is a question about approval date and publication date. Naima, could you tell us more? And I think the next question is also about the dates, if you can try to answer both questions.
Yes. So there is quite a difference between the approval date and publication date. Please note that the publication date is a technical aspect. It is when your list has been published. As we saw in the history of workflow, you can see the different steps through the approval of a list, and the publication date corresponds to the date that your list has been published, so has gone to the status published. It is different from the approval date. This is information that you can request to your authority. It really is something different. The publication is really a technical aspect of publication of the publication date. And the second question regarding approval. So again, the approval date is rather information that you can refer to your competent authority. This is not information we have, and as a technical traces help desk, we can so the publication date refers, as I just said, as the date when your list has been published.
Thank you, Naima. That will be all, I think, for the LMS. There are also questions about the certificates. And here again, we want to clarify a little bit the way traces address this creation of a certificate. So as Youssef explained, you can go into traces and then you will be able to create a certificate. The workflow, because usually it's the way it happens when we are working on paper certificates. The workflow is the following. The operator has all the information about the part one of a certificate. In the part one, like you saw, explained by Youssef, there is all the information about traceability, where it comes from, where it goes, how many packages you have, what is the processing plant, etc., etc. So in this case, the operators have all the information in hand, and traces allows the operator to make the part one of the certificate. What the operator cannot do in traces is the part two, because part two, and I'm actually answering the question number 7 here also. What is in part two? It's a summary about all the regulations that are applicable to the products we are going to export. We cannot really give you a checklist or a list of these regulations because this really depends about the product you are going to export. The best way for you to get familiar with this model of certificates is to go to the regulation. The models of the certificates in the EU regulations are published and are available in the website. So we are going to answer to this question in written, a little bit more in detail. So we will put the link to the regulation, and you will see there is one regulation with all the model of the certificate, and you can see exactly which regulations are applicable per type of product. Youssef, could you tell us about the question number 8, please? The status in progress. I think we need to clarify here.
Yes, thank you. Just a little remark about question 5. So is there a criteria based on which the authority can decide whether the operator should fill part 1 or the authority itself? Well, we have been in contact with some non-EU countries, institutions, central competent authorities, and they decide they have it in their workflow that only the authority creates and issues the certificates. So this is really arbitrary. As Vincent mentioned, traces allows the operator to create and complete part 1 of the certificates, but of course you work as you want. If as an authority you want to do it yourself, you can absolutely do it yourself. So now about question 8. No, sorry. 7. Yes, it's the question 10. So question 10 is, if an authority would like to sign in progress, does it require to fill part 2 of the certificate? So the feature sign as in progress is accessible to the authority as soon as it opens the certificate. So we suggest that it is the first action that an authority does to block any further edition of part 1 of the certificate by an operator. So you can do it as a first step when you overview a certificate. You sign as in progress, you block the edition capacity of the operator, and then you can overview part 1, edit it if you want to, and then complete part 2 and sign the certificate for validation. So completing part 2 is only required before signing the certificate, but not before signing as in progress.
Thank you, Youssef. I'm going to jump to question 12 as well. Can a regional competent authority sign and stamp a certificate which has been signed by another RCA?
For this, Traces offers you an organization offers you possibilities to organize your institutions as a hierarchy, and each level of the authorities hierarchy will have a geographical jurisdiction. The central competent authority has a full access to the certificates originating from the country, and the regional authorities have limited access only to those certificates that originate from the region. So an FCI can sign and stamp a certificate. I'm sorry. I think I'm answering the question not precisely. So can another RCA sign and stamp a certificate which was signed by another RCA in Traces? So the certificates only needs to be signed once. If both RCAs have access to the certificates, it only has to be signed once. So I don't really understand why a second RCA should sign a single certificate.
We need a signature from a competent authority in your country in order for the certificate to be valid. So especially in Traces, you will see once a certificate has been signed, the status is changing to valid, and this certificate, even more if it is signed electronically, this certificate will become the original certificate and will be accompanying the product. Like Youssef mentioned already, we do not need a paper certificate even at the border in order for us to create the shed. We can retrieve this information from Traces, and then our colleagues at the border will transfer the information from your certificate into a shed. Shed is the document we are going to use. It's like the European passport for your product if you want, once it is at the border. We can have a look at the other questions about the certificate. There were quite a lot. I think I just answered the question here, which is marked number 9. If the certificate is electronically signed, does the e-signature will appear on each page? You have to understand that the electronic signature is actually making an electronic certificate original. So in this case, the file you have on your computer is the original certificate. If you print out this certificate, that will only become a copy. So you can sign again the copy and with wet ink, even if you want, but this is not needed for us at the border. Once it is signed using the seal given by the commission, this is the certificate we need to see at the border. We don't even need the paper. There was a question about the cross-verification. Here, we just need to emphasize a bit that the part 1 of the certificate needs to be according to the product we are going to receive. So whenever there is a change in this information, Traces gives you the possibility to change certificates up to the point you have a valid certificate. So once the authority said, okay, we are going to block the certificate, this is the valid certificate, you can make as many changes as you want. If during the preparation of a certificate in the part 1, you can change as many information as you want. Once the authority has signed a certificate, it becomes valid in Traces. And then the only option remaining is replacement. And replacement here, I'm going to answer 11 and 12, question 11 and 12 about replacement. Replacement, you can replace a certificate until the authority is making a certificate on a product which is still under their control. So if you are a competent authority, you control the products and you are ready to export to the EU, then this certificate is going to reflect what you controlled. So you can replace the certificate as long as the competent authority knows exactly what they are signing. If the product is already at the border, it's still possible to create another certificate and to send this certificate by courier, perhaps, at the border and then make the border clearance. Then the last question on the certificate is about the language. I think we were a bit quick when we presented this part, but Traces is equipped with the 24 EU languages, the official languages of the European Union. There are another few languages available, not European languages. But basically, every border control post will require the certificate to be in their own language. So if you send a product to France, maybe you created the certificate in English because you are using Traces in English. And Traces is going to give you the opportunity to translate in as many languages as you want. So the certificate is going to be duplicated using exactly the terms of our regulation. This is a very, very beautiful features of the system where you do not need to worry about translation in a language you cannot really understand. On the shed, there was one question on the pre-notification. Laurent, can you answer that one?
Uh, So actually, the pre-notification is done by the responsible for the load, which means that they fill out the part one of the certificate. That does not need they don't have access to the part two or to the validation of the document, to the shed document. So the company who submitted the pre-notifications is once they have completed the part one are not going to be able to deal with further the submission or the validation of the part two or three of the shed. I hope that answers the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Laurent. And the last question is on ClickSense. So Youssef, if you can please address this one.
So this question is about what data is displayed in traces given a certain situation where you have filed a certificate, but the shipment was cancelled. So in ClickSense, I think I have mentioned it. You can filter with the status of the certificate. So if the shipment was cancelled, I guess that the certificate has been cancelled as well in traces. So you have the possibility as an authority to cancel a certificate. So if you want to exclude these kind of cancelled shipments from the results of the statistical analysis, you need to filter on the status of the certificate. Of course, you have to cancel the certificate as well as cancel the shipment.
Thank you very much, Youssef. It's almost time. We see that there are a few more questions in the Q&A. We will take more time to review these questions and to answer you by written. This is going to be distributed by the organizers, the colleagues from Colid. Do not worry about mentioning your email in the chat or in the Q&A. Any person registered for this webinar will receive both the PowerPoint presentation we did today and the recording. So you will have everything sent to your email. I just want to thank you for your attention. It was, I think, quite active sessions with a lot of questions. It was a pleasure for us here in Brussels to present a little bit more about Traces. I put again here the page with all the links and our email address. We are the Traces support team, so any questions you think about just after we finish this webinar, please do not hesitate to send us questions. We will be able to answer. If it is not directly on Traces, if you have questions more related to regulations, we can perhaps forward this to our colleagues at the Commission as well. So please do not hesitate to contact us. I wanted to thank the organizers, our colleagues Ingrid, Marie-Hélène, and other colleagues from Colleague who really actively helped us to coordinate this webinar. More to follow. We will have other sessions in other languages this week. And if you are interested in plant certification, this is the webinar for next week. So back to you, Ingrid. Thank you very much all for your attention.
Thanks to you. Thanks to the help desk Tracy's team. Thank you.